week's episode of Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works. The epic and earth-shattering battle between Shirou and his future self Archer finally comes to a conclusion. Gilgamesh returns and reignites his rivalry with Saber, and Shinji turns into Tetsuo from Akira. In terms of action, this week's episode is an A+. Archer vs. Shirou is undoubtedly one of the highlights of this week's episode, but just the appearance of Gilgamesh and the announcement of his big evil plan I think is really amazing. But Archer vs. Shirou is one of those scenes that I can't really do justice unless you actually see it for yourself. It's just a lot of great hand-to-hand combat using dueling swords, lots of great fighting choreography, flipping around, it's incredibly fluid, lots of sparks coming off the swords. It's just a really fun, fast, badass action scene. I especially love that as the battle is going on, Archer is becoming even more disturbed by the fact that it doesn't matter what he does, because he knows he's fighting his younger self, who's never going to give up and continuing to fight back. And as he does this, Shirou actually becomes stronger, and there's this final scene where he has this final charge against Archer, where Archer summons these massive, gigantic swords. They look like ones that Guts would use from Berserk, and Shirou just effortlessly knocks all of them away as he gets right up to Archer, and it seems like Archer might actually kill him right there. He's got his sword, getting ready to stab down, and then Shirou defeats him with one stab to the chest, and that's it. What's really strange about this scene is that Archer just sort of admits defeat. He removes the sword, and he's just sort of standing there just waiting to die. He basically just sort of understands everything that just happened, he realizes that he messed up, and he sort of leaves everything else to Shirou, hoping that he won't go down the same path as he did, when suddenly, Gilgamesh comes out of nowhere, blasts him repeatedly, and kills him. Archer's last words are to tell Shirou that he's the one who has to defeat Gilgamesh. And this is when things come full circle. Fans of Fate Zero are really going to appreciate this, and I'm really glad that I was able to watch the entire show now, because I can appreciate more of this, because this has all been a part of Gilgamesh's plan. At the end of the last war, when that big explosion went down, he bathed within the Holy Grail, and that allowed him to take physical form in this world, and he's actually existed here for the last 10 years. Little by little, he's been biding his time and waiting for the next Holy Grail war, so that when it does appear, he'll actually claim it for himself and use it as his ultimate weapon. He was so impressed with what it did before, he basically said that it opened the gates of hell and unleashed all of that upon the world, and that's because he has this big plan to pretty much just kill all of mankind, mass extinction, and the ones who survive are the ones who will be a part of his brand new master race. It's not the most original villain plan, but just the way he tells his story and how charismatic he is about all of it, just, he's a great villain, he's on par with frickin' Dio from JoJo. They're nearly the same character. So I was hoping we would get some double action with maybe Saber fighting against Gilgamesh, but suddenly the mansion starts to burn away and he doesn't want to fight them anymore, and he has this great pompous thing he says where he's like, "Oh, I got soot on me, and I'm gonna get out of here. You guys are worth less to me than the frickin' soot." What a frickin' dick. Gilgamesh makes a quick escape and he meets up with Shinji, which leads to one of the creepiest scenes of the episode, and this is one that I've been waiting for a long time, because I've been waiting for Shinji's death because he's just such a creepy, disgusting character, and you know what? This might have been a little too rough, but still, it was creepy, and it totally reminded me of Tetsuo transforming into that big blobby monster from Akira. So, Gilgamesh actually takes the heart that he took from Ilya, and he decides to just shove it right into Shinji's body. And then it suddenly starts making him transform into this giant, disgusting, blobby creature with all these limbs, which just rip him to pieces as he explodes into the air. It's so disgusting and creepy, and this means, of course, that he's going to be the vessel for the Holy Grail, and just, wow. Really disturbing stuff they showed at the end. It totally reminded me of the stuff that I saw from Fate Zero, really taking a dark turn. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with the finale of this one. I was kind of wondering how they were going to handle it. I kind of figured that it would involve Gilgamesh, especially because they were going to wrap up this whole Archer thing, and the fact that he was just destroyed by Gilgamesh in this episode. He's definitely not coming back. But otherwise, this was an amazing episode of the series. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works? This was definitely, I think, the best episode of the second half of Unlimited Blade Works. Just, this is the battle I've been waiting for, and it was handled really, really, really well. Just in the fighting choreography at the beginning, that was amazing. Just in the lighting, in the landscape, how everything looked, the atmosphere, just the dialogue, just how freaked out Archer was over the fact that he was never going to be able to defeat his younger self because he knows exactly who he is and what he's capable of. It's just so tension-filled, and it's amazing. I loved everything about that. Gilgamesh returning is great because we needed a more solid villain for the show, and he just, fits the bill perfectly, and it's a great callback to Fate Zero. It really ties everything together. Something that's also kind of interesting is that it might have been confirmed by Gilgamesh that apparently servants actually can't use the Holy Grail like in a typical sense, like a mage can, and this means that Saber, won't be able to actually get her wish. And you could actually, hear and feel the disappointment in her voice when that actually happened. That's what it seemed like to me. Otherwise, this week's episode really was just all about those great action scenes and that creepy stuff at the end with Shinji, which was just nuts and so disturbing. Oh, I can't wait to see where the finale of Unlimited Blade Works is going. All I know is I'm excited. On the technical side of things, amazing episode. Like always, the animation, the artwork, voice acting, music, atmosphere, everything just works in this show. Really, really great episode right here. One of the best. So I'm going to give this week's episode a 5 out of 5. I really loved it, and you should definitely check it out because it was pretty awesome. So I like this episode a lot, but what about you guys? Did you watch this week's episode of Unlimited Blade Works? What did you think of the battle between Archer and Shirou? Did you like seeing the return of Gilgamesh? What about Shinji? Do you think he's going to get out of this sticky situation, or do you think he's pretty much screwed? What do you want to see from the finale of Unlimited Blade Works? Please tell me in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like it and share it with all of your friends, and make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow us on social media. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.